Greetings, salutations, one and all, and welcome to your favorite Monday ritual known as the Ultimate Hottie Show.
You're
My
a
name
little
is
bit
Michael
slow,
Dale. I'm
Michael.
joined-
You're a little bit hesitant, or
All right, let's give this a shot. Here, we have some technical difficulties, but we are trying to rectify. I believe it is my internet. It is acting up. I'm trying to bring in Red Petty again. Red, good evening. How are you?
Very good. Are we in the show now, or are we backstage?
Yeah, we are live. We've been live this whole time. I just have music in the background.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. So are we okay now? Like
yeah,
you're
I think
there?
I think we'll be done. What happened was I went in, I started my open, and then I lost control of everything. So I don't know what the heck happened. I couldn't see you. I lost connection. My router was blinking left, right, and center. It appears to be stable now. If it happens again, apologies. We will start the show and I'll get the upload fixed pretty soon. Welcome to the Ultimate Hockey Show. As I was saying, your favorite Monday ritual. 10 of the way things have gone in Winnipeg. I think our technical difficulties in the last 72 hours. The Winnipeg Jets have 2 games in regulation. For the first time in a row this year, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have lost the Grey Cup, but I still don't even know what the heck happened. But we're here to talk hockey. We're here to talk about it all. Red Petty just gave me an opening thought on the weekend, but was obviously a loss to Tampa on Thursday and a loss in Florida. But I think the most concerning part is a loss in Florida where, I don't know, you could use the saying the roof came off, the roof caved in. It was just a bad day all the way around. How about you start us off with an opening comment?
Yeah. Well, like we chatted last week, right? I mean that trip, New York, uh, Tampa, Florida. Those are 3 very good teams. They were 3 playoff teams last year. Made it into the second round, I believe. All 3 teams. So from the East, they were the top 8. So they're all good teams. So the Jets did well against the Rangers. They played really well. But I think we could see this coming, right? They've had a hard grind. They played every second night for forever. And it just seemed like in that Tampa Bay game, they were just hang on, my dog is whining. I gotta get rid of her.
Oh, that's okay. Just one of those days technologically.
Anyway, yeah. So that game in Tampa Bay, it just looked like they didn't have their legs. They weren't together. It seemed like every pass they made was off. A pass would get in somebody's skates. A pass would hit somebody in the bum. A pass would hit another stick and go the other way by accident. Like everything was not crisp. It wasn't tight. It wasn't like it's been the last 15, 16 games. Everything was just off. And you could see like 5 minutes into that game, I said, the Jets are not going to win this game. It's still 0-0. It's like everything's going wrong. They can't make a pass. They can't get out of their own zone. And it should be reminded to viewers and to listeners that Tampa Bay had been off 6 days. They had a 6-day break before seeing the Jets. And now that the Jets are first in the NHL, everybody's looking to take a shot at number 1, right? So you got 6 days off. You got a few days off to rest. Then you got 4 practices to just focus on the Jets power play, the Jets penalty killing, the Jets 5-on-5. And it looked like it. It looked like Tampa Bay was a team that was ready to play the Jets, and the Jets just looked like a team that was tired, and maybe they spent far too much time in, the day before in Florida, sitting on a boat fishing and drinking beers or something, or laying on the beach. I don't know, but they just seemed off. So you could throw that one away. That's the Lightning. But that game against the Panthers, that I agree with you. That is more the story that gets told. That's more realistic, more credible. And I've said this to you and you didn't believe me. Lots of my friends don't believe me. They say, Rick, what about the Jets? 13-0, 15-1, da 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 da. And I said, hold it, time out. Okay, this is the same team as last year that got swept 4 in a row by Colorado after winning the first game. They got bombed and they let in a ton of goals and they couldn't play D and they couldn't keep up and they couldn't play with the physicality of Colorado. And that showed Florida. They are a playoff team. They play a heavy game. They can skate. It's hard to play that game all along. They lost the first or the last pair of games before the Jets. They even lost to Chicago because you go to Chicago, you figure, oh, we don't have to play the right way. We don't have to play that playoff heavy style game. It's hard to play that 82 games in a year. But Florida was ready for the Jets. They played that heavy game. And the Jets looked like that game is what is going to be the playoffs for the Jets with that lineup. And I hate to be a downer. I know all these people are all high on the Jets. You know what? That's fine. 82 game season. There's not much hitting. There's some more time. You get chances to score. There's a little bit more room to maneuver. But that game against Florida, that was playoff game. There was no room for the Jets, no space. They got hit. They got beaten. They got crunched. They got knocked off the puck. There was not much space, and they didn't do a thing. Their power play was non-existent. Their 5-on-5 was non-existent. And that's the problem with the Jets is they are a small team. They don't know how to play a heavy playoff style. Maybe they can learn it. I don't know. But when you got guys like Ehlers, Connor, Perfetti, go down the list, soft, small guys, it's not good. That team is not made to play against tough, physical hockey teams. And it showed against the Panthers. And that's the problem is that we're going to get all high. They're going to go on another 5-game run. They'll play a bunch of teams from the Western Conference and they'll win a bunch of games. And yeah, okay, they'll end up in first or second place in the Central. And then the playoffs will start. And with this lineup, they will not make it out of the first round. This lineup is constructed. They have no chance of making it out of the first round. My prediction. So that's what I want to say. I'm sorry, Jet Nation. That's the truth. I know it's hard to take, but that's it. Michael, you respond.
I have this to kind of counter the argument.
Okay, this is good.
Do you believe in every so often there being allowed to be a stinker from a hockey team?
Yeah.
Do we not jot this down to one bad night at the office and see what the response is tomorrow?
I would have done that for the Lightning, not for Florida.
So you think it's a trend starting?
No, not a trend. I think it's the Jets will not win games against teams that play physical against them. When they go against the Stars this year and the Stars play now, I think it'll be hard for the Jets. If the Florida Panthers come into Winnipeg and they're a little bit, they don't play that style because it's hard to play it and whatever. It's not the playoffs. They don't have to win 82 games to get into the playoffs of Panthers. They just have to get into the playoffs and then they play that style and they know what it takes to win. If they come and they play that easy skating, let's not hit too hard. Let's not struggle. Let's not fight for every puck in every corner and battle like that. Yeah, okay, then the Jets could win. They get a couple of power play goals. Away they go. They win 3-1, 4-2 at home. Okay. But if Florida plays like they did in Florida, it don't matter what the Jets do. They're not winning that game. The Jets can play their very best game off the chart. And if Florida plays like that, the Jets can't beat them, in my opinion, because the Jets don't know how to play that style. They play this fast, skating, forechecking. And that's hard to play, and you have to play it. But in the playoffs, you have to play something else. You can play that style, but you got to be able to hit, and you got to fight through hits. And I just saw on Saturday night, I don't know what you saw. I saw the Jets get knocked off the puck again and again and again and again. They lost 1 million puck battles. And they got pinched off the puck. They could get no cycle going in the offensive zone, no maintaining any play in Florida zone to try and create offense. The power play did not look good. It looked stagnant. Florida put a lot of pressure on the Jets. They didn't know how to counteract that. 5-0.
Fair enough.
It's not a trend. It's just, I think the Jets can win. Like, who are they playing this week? After they play Florida, they go on the road. They play Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not a good team. They're not physical. If they play like they play, they should beat Pittsburgh at home or in the Pittsburgh. Nashville, they've been up and down. They played well lately, but they're not a good team yet. They're still trying to find themselves. Minnesota's a playoff team. They play that way. Let's see how the Jets play in Minnesota on November 23rd. That's usually a graveyard for the Jets. Usually that's on Thanksgiving Thursday or Thanksgiving Friday in America.
Last Friday, yeah.
Yeah, but Minnesota is usually a graveyard because Minnesota plays the right way, especially at home. Let's see how the Jets do against Minnesota. Then they play against LA. LA plays that style too. And then they end the road trip in Vegas and Dallas. This is going to be a good push. 6 games on the road. And you could argue 4 out of those 6, maybe even 5 of those 6 teams are going to be playoff teams this year. So let's see, Jeff.
We'll see. We'll see it. It's not all doom. It's not all doom and gloom.
It's doom and gloom. I just said they don't know how to play the physical way because they don't have a physical team.
Full transparency. Yeah. Full transparency. I did not see a minute of the Florida game. I had my fundraiser on Saturday night. I have not had a chance to plump myself down and watch the highlights. I probably said to myself, great trips tomorrow. 5-0 to score. Nothing to really see here. Let's just go back to Tampa Bay game, if you will. They played Eric Comrie. They fell behind 3-0.
Yeah.
They let Tampa have the front of the net on one of the goals on the power play. They couldn't box out whoever it was in front of the Tampa Bay net at the power play. The shot came in from Hedman, but I can't remember who got the power play goal. Maybe it was Cirelli or Point. No, Point didn't play. Cirelli or one of those guys. How do we? Is this the Jets needing to make a trade to get to Florida's level? And if so, how do you? I guess what I'm trying to say is 2 trades that bring in guys that are going to help you play this playoff style. These types of players don't grow on trees, nor are they available very often in trades for that distinct reason. So, is there systematic changes that need to occur for the Jets to withstand playoff type teams?
It's one of 2 things, and I don't know if either one of them is possible. I don't think either one's possible. It's trying to get the guys they have to play a playoff style, to be able to fight through checks and grind and go to the net and not play cute, but just get pucks at the net and play hard and go for rebounds and screen. And it's possible they could play that way, but it's hard. It's physically demanding. It's mentally demanding. It's exhausting. And they don't have those guys. They've got lots of great guys that are great offensive players. They're great skaters, great talent. They do well during the regular season. And then they fold like a cheap tent that you buy at Walmart for $19.99 when the playoffs start. And that's the makeup. That's the team they've drafted. You can't change that team. If you want to win in the playoff, and this is what I'm trying to tell you, is that our team is not built to win in the playoffs. It's built to win in the regular season. It will win 45 to 50 games. It'll make the playoffs, and then it will lose in the first round to whoever they're playing because they don't know how to play that playoff style. And nothing will change with that lineup because you can't get rid of. Are you going to get rid of Connor, Scheifele, Perfetti, Nemestikov, Ehlers? Go down the line. Like the 3rd line and the 4th line, you can win with those guys being your 3rd and 4th line. But the 1st and 2nd line, Scheifele was -3, -4 on Saturday night. They don't score enough goals. The Jets top line, they score on the power play, but 5-on-5, they're not good, or they're not good enough. They don't know how to play defense, and they don't score. You could score, like if you score 3 times as many as the other team, you can let a goal in each game, if you on 5-on-5 you score 2 or 3, that's fine. But the Jets don't do, or the first line, they don't do that. They don't know how to play tough. I think Velarde does, but Scheifele, nah. Connor, for sure not. Ehlers, no way. Perfetti, he didn't even play last year in the playoffs because he was too small. Now, nobody said that, but if he's such a big star, why didn't he play last year? Because he can't play that style. He's not built for it, mentally, physically, whatever. And it's frustrating because I'm telling you, the Jets are always going to do well. It's sort of like the Bombers. They're going to do well during the regular season, and then they're going to take a dump during the playoffs. That's my opinion. And people can get all upset about it, excited about it, but that's the fact. Until something changes, you show me it's going to change. I don't see the Jets. And like I said, another example is being against Florida. Florida played a playoff style game on Saturday night, and the Jets were invisible. 5-0. They did nothing. I wouldn't say even nothing, negative nothing. They did -0. So what are you going to do? You can't trade the whole team. So it is what it is. We have to live with this team. Now, maybe Rick can be wrong, and it's possible. You ask my wife, she'll tell you he's wrong many times. But maybe they hit the playoffs and they have a complete resurrection. Maybe Hellebuck wins a whole bunch of games and they fight through it and they happen to play a playoff style that can win. But the last few seasons, they have not done anything in the playoffs since 2018 with that lineup that included Wheeler, but they were all big guys. Wheeler, Trouba, Sherratt, Dustin Byfuglien, Tyler Myers, Dmitry Kulikov. And then on the lines, like they had large forwards that could bang and crash. They don't have that anymore. They've got a little bit of a softer team. So, but anyway, that's my opinion. I could be convinced otherwise if you had a really good argument, but that's what I'm seeing. So
the thing is, I don't. But the concern I have is that it was one game and you're making that assessment.
But I said all along, all the games they played up until then were against non-playoff teams or soft teams that did not play a playoff style, except for the Stars. Actually, they played really well against the Stars. But
yeah, and that might have been the Stars' one-off day in the last.
And that might have been the Stars. And the Stars sure didn't look like the Stars. They didn't bang and crash. And yeah. So.
Rich, I'm gonna have to cut this show off at 6 o'clock. You're cutting out every single sentence that I'm hearing, so I'm picking up the incremental sentences of what you're saying.
If you want to, we could shut down the show now and we could go again tomorrow. You want to try tomorrow?
I don't know what it is, if it's the system, if it's my computer, or if it's the internet. I'll continue to fight through it. Okay. Just bear with me if my response is slow. Because it was working yesterday and last night when I had all the Grey Cup programming, so I don't quite understand. I don't quite understand what was happening. But that being said, I don't know if you had the chance, and this is not Jets related. This is kind of around the lead. What did you make of the Darnell Nurse getting hit in the head by Ryan Reaves on Saturday? To me, it's a 5-game suspension because it's Ryan Reaves and he's got a history. I think anybody else has a 2 or 3 game suspension and not a 5-game suspension.
Yeah.
But by the same token, Darnell Nurse is standing, going around the net with his head down.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reaves is coming by like a choo-choo train and lights him up. So I don't know how much of this 5-game suspension is because it's Ryan Reaves and he's got a history, versus if it's anybody else, it's a 2-game suspension, versus where the line is on keeping your head up. And I'm not trying to defend Ryan Reaves, but they tell defensemen from the time that they're on stage, literally, keep your head up when you're going behind the net. And he's looking down, and Ryan Reaves announces his presence, and boom goes the dynamite.
So did you think it was a bad hit? Did you think it was an illegal hit that should be penalized and should be suspended? So that's my question to you.
I do, but
Okay.
in the same breath, Darnell Nurse needs to be more responsible by having his head up.
True. And I would agree with you. It's, maybe I should say this first. It's an illegal hit because he hit the head, like, and that's right at the same time as the chest, right?
Yep.
He kind of hit, but the head snapped. He hit the head and the chest. So because if you hit the head first, that's the rule, right? Is if you lead and with your, or by hitting, you hit the other player's head first, it's illegal hit, right? So I get that, but I agree with you. Ryan Reaves is a big cat, 6'4", 240 pounds, whatever he is. So he's tall. Now Nurse is tall too, but he's not big. And I agree. He's hunched over. He's coming around the net. He's got his head down. He doesn't see Reaves. I know Reaves is, and from what I know and what I've heard him talk about, he's a tough player. I don't know that he's a dirty player. I would put him in the same category of a Dustin Byfuglien. Byfuglien, there are a few times there were hits that he made that were really tough and sent guys into next week, and he didn't get penalized or suspended for it. There's a few that he did, but he wasn't a dirty player. He was a tough player, and you better keep your head up because he's going to hit you hard if you're not paying attention or if you're watching your pass after you make it. But that being said, if Reaves had just, like when he saw Nurse, now again, this happens so quick, right? Nurse comes around the net, Reaves is coming. It's like we see it in slow motion. We think, oh, why didn't he move? Yeah, okay, it's happening. These guys are skating so fast. But I'm saying if Reaves had been lower, or if Nurse had been up more, and Reaves, he led with his left shoulder, and if he would have cracked Nurse right here in the sternum, right, like just whack right there, and even if it would have cracked his head back, it would have been a clean hit. Nurse would have still been hurt, but I wouldn't have suspended him. But the problem is the guy leans over, the top of your shoulder hits him in the chin because he's leaning over. You hit him in the head first. They have to suspend you. They have to.
No, I get that, but at the same time, I'm just saying he needs to keep his head up.
Correct, but I would not say like, oh, that Reaves is a dirty player again.
No, absolutely not.
I don't. I think he's a tough player. I think he feels really bad. I know he was trying to hit him in the chest, not in the head. He was trying to hit him because he saw that he had his head down, but I don't think he was trying to crank him in the head because I just don't think Ryan Reaves is like that. But needless to say, it's a penalty and you have to call it and you have to suspend him. And
it's a 5-game suspension based on Ryan Reaves' history.
On his record.
What do you think of Anthony Stolarz? Because I was looking today, he's played more games than Joseph Woll. Woll's been injured. They've had Dennis Hilder be in a couple times up with the team to replace Joseph Woll. But here's the thing: Austin Matthews has not played in the last 3 weeks. The Leafs are 5-1 without him. Mitch Marner 10 points, 8 points in 6 games. I think since Matthews went down. Would you put the Leafs in the same category as the Jets? Very successful regular season, but when push comes to shove in the playoffs, will struggle?
Yeah, I would say similar. Now, do the Leafs have the ability to play more of a playoff style? I think so, because I think they're made to be a little bit tougher. They've got Berube as their head coach. So I think it is possible. But I agree with you. Similar to the Jets, in the playoffs, all the goals or the majority of goals are scored right in front of the net within 5 to 10 feet of the crease. And the Jets and the Leafs, they showed a whole bunch of stats. They had that on the overdrive there with O-Dog. I think I said this before, O-Dog and Noodles and Brian Hayes. And they said, that area there where you get all the goals in the playoffs where they're all scored, the Leafs and the Jets don't go there. It shows it, and that's why they don't get goals. Is because they don't have any goals in that area because they don't go to that area. It's hard to go to that area. You have to pay a price to go in front of there. But that's where the goals are scored. And the Jets think they're always going to get a goal on the rush or get a goal on a cycle. It's not always that way. Sometimes it's just feed it to the point, shoot the puck, and grind it out, and you win games 1-0, 2-1, 3-2. That's it. So whatever. But I still think the Leafs are going to make the playoffs. I agree with you. I think they've played really well considering they haven't had Matthews in the lineup. And I actually like that combination of Woll and Stolarz. I'm still not sure though who's one and who's two. Have they said Stolarz is one and Woll is two? Is that
Yeah, Stolarz has played the lion's share of the game since Wolves come back. It's an interesting concept. I mean, Saturday, from what I saw, Stolarz made a couple big saves, including that 5-minute major, to allow the Leafs to get the overtime winner. But again, I think the Leafs and Jets are in the same boat as it's show me what you've done in the middle of April, and then we'll talk. People are waiting for the Leafs to do what they do in the regular season in the playoffs. People are waiting for the Jets to do much the same thing. I think the Leafs are more likely to have a deeper playoff run this year just based on the way they're built. They got some big defensemen back there. They got some rugged forwards that I think could really help. We just got some breaking news here, Red, from the Winnipeg Jets as it pertains to Ville Heinola. The Winnipeg Jets have assigned Ville Heinola to the Manitoba Moose for purposes of beginning a conditioning stint.
That is such good news because that means he must be past the infection.
Correct. He's now able to play, and I would expect him to play on Thursday for the Manitoba Moose in their school day game against the Chicago Wolves. Checking if they play tomorrow. I don't think they play tomorrow. That being said, good news for Ville Heinola. Who comes off the roster, Rick, when Ville comes back? Does Ville go straight back to the Jets? Is it that simple?
Yeah, well, who are now the Black Aces for the Jets? Did they bring up anybody when Logan Stanley came out of the lineup and they brought in Hayden Fleury? Did they bring somebody up to be a Black Ace? No, I don't think so.
Yeah, Dylan Codwin is the other defenseman, but we haven't seen much from Hayden Fleury's up, and then Logan Stanley. Because I think the Jets started the year, as I would call it, 8 defensemen.
Right, but usually they carry a 23-man roster, 20 guys dress, and you have 3 guys that sit in the press box. At the beginning of the season, I don't know who it was. Would have been Logan Stanley and Heinola were hurt, and so it was Miller and Fleury that came into the lineup, and then they still had they have Gustafsson in that group. I think he's in there. But are the other 2 spots now empty? I think they're empty because Logan Stanley's on IR and Heinola is on IR and is on recovery. So I don't think they brought. See, here's the thing: if they brought up guys from the Moose, then they have to send them back down to the Moose, right? But I don't think they did. I think they left those spots open, which means when Heinola is healthy, he just comes in to that 23-man roster. He's at the NHL level.
I'm just checking. I'm referencing.
Then he can be rotated in, the same as Fleury or the same as.
I'm referencing Saturday's lineup. The scratches were Dylan Codwin. Hold on.
Gustafsson.
Dylan Codwin and David Gustafsson.
Yeah. And so
Hayden Fleury came in for Logan Stanley, who's now on IR again.
Correct. So if they only have the 2, Coghlan and Gustafsson, my feeling is what I think is going to happen is they're going to send down Coghlan because he can go through the waivers because he's an AHLer. But they can put Heinola and Stanley right back into the 23-man roster. They don't have to put any waivers. And now they've got them, and then they can cycle them in for Miller and Fleury at any time if they want to. So,
and then they have Gustafsson as a spare forward.
And as Gustafsson as a spare forward, which I really like, and this is maybe a good segue. We've got a
Yep.
few more minutes to talk about the Jets, but
Yep.
I really like how Rasmus Kapari plays. I mean, yeah, he's only got a couple of points. He's on the fourth line, but you know what? He is so good defensively. You can have him out there at the end of a game with that fourth line. You can have them out there against the first line for any team. He's really good in the faceoff. He's a right-handed shot. He's strong. He can skate. That's why he's in the lineup, is because he's faster than Gustafsson. He can kill penalties. He can skate better. He's a right-handed shot, so it's good for the Jets. Now they have a pair of left shooting centermen and a pair of right shooting centermen that can take faceoffs at the end of a game. And they have to have Kapari in the lineup for that reason. And he's played really, really well. I really like his game. Yeah, he's not going to score 30 goals. He's not going to get 60, 70 points. He's not going to play the power play. But he's a great third, fourth line guy, and he's still young. He's like 21, 22 years old. He's still figuring it out. And I really like his game. And for that reason, I don't think we're going to see Gustafsson in the lineup unless the Jets have an injury at forward. I think that's the only way that we see that anytime soon. But anyway, how about for you? How do you like Kapari's game?
Yeah, I think Kapari's been a much improved player, and I think he's a large portion of what makes that fourth line go. I think when we talked about everybody being X number of percent better, it applies to the bottom part of the lineup. Lowry's line, for the most part, has been excellent. The fourth line has been excellent. The Jets are getting timely goals, or were getting timely goals from their first line. The second line started slow, but was coming on. Yeah, it's totally very interesting in that regard. But ultimately, again, I still think, and I 100% agree with you, like what you were saying earlier, is this team is still going to run into the same problems when they run into the Floridas, even when they run into the Vegases to an extent. I think the Vegas Golden Knights have the better roster right now than the Jets. I think the Jets have a weaker roster even when it comes to a team like the Oilers, even though the Oilers haven't shown it yet this year.
Yeah.
The Oilers have shown it when it counts the most in the playoffs. And I to be honest, I think they also have a inferior roster to that of even Dallas and even Colorado to an extent. I think the Jets, as currently constructed, you can agree or disagree, are the third best team in the Central right now. Even though the record doesn't show it. The record shows them that they're number one.
Yeah.
But listen, I think this is going to end up one of two ways: a playoff series with Colorado again, and a playoff series with Dallas.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. I mean, Nashville is almost a lost cause. They're just too up and down for my liking, which leads to another question just on the way out here, Rhett. We have about 3 or 4 minutes to talk about this.
Okay.
Did you hear what General Manager Barry Trotz said? He said, if we don't, and I'm paraphrasing, again, if we don't start to move things in the appropriate direction, which means winning more hockey games, we might have to look at a rebuild.
But when he said rebuild, then he clarified afterwards. He said,
well, exactly. Right?
Yeah.
He said, well, rebuild was maybe the wrong word. People think about rebuild like tearing it down to the studs. What did you think of that comment? Did you I didn't interpret it before he clarified of trading Stamkos, trading Marchessault, trading Roman Josi, trading UC Zaros, etc., etc. I took it as there are guys in the AHL that are going to get an opportunity if certain individuals do not start to improve their game.
You thought it was okay. See, I didn't think it was that. I thought it was more because he kind of clarified it too. He said in essence, like he kind of hinted, he didn't come right out and say that's what I'm going to do, but he insinuated that they still have a lot of team the capital. They have a lot of draft picks. They've got a lot of first and second rounders over the next few years that they've accumulated. And with some of the trades they made with some of their veterans and some of the guys that went away. So that being said, he could still, I believe, if he wanted to retool, he could trade away like a player in junior or a player in the minors combined with the first round or second rounder to bring in somebody to play in the top 6. Not necessarily to ship out a guy that they have, but to complement the guys that are there already. So that's what I think he was insinuating. But either way, they
Fair
have
enough.
to play better. And they
Fair
did.
enough.
They just won on Saturday night against who did they beat on Saturday night?
Nashville beat Vancouver.
Vancouver. That's right. That was on Sunday night. No,
Sunday night, yeah.
Yeah.
Speaking about Vancouver, what do you make of Vancouver? Red Tocket not happy. The quote
Wow.
this week: "We have fans that are paying $300 to $400 to watch us play," and basically said, "Well, it's not worth the money right now. Sorry for the fans."
Well, yeah, they haven't been good, but yeah, it's been I mean, he's trying to light a fire under his team, right? It's
Yeah,
that
sorry.
team.
Nashville beat Vancouver 5-3. This was the night after. This was the night after This was the night after Vancouver beat Chicago 4-1.
Correct. Was on a back-to-back for Vancouver. So okay, but that being said, that like any team, you're going to move with your star players, and Vancouver star players have been really up and down. Brock Besser, Quinn Hughes, even JT Miller, and for sure Elias Pettersson. Pettersson has been kind of, for the most part this season, he's been MIA. So, I mean, he's your number one guy. He's making $9-10 million a year. He's got to produce. He's got to produce better than a point a game. He's got to drive offensive play. He's got to make that power play great. He's got to play in the first line and create chances and score at least that. His line has to score a goal a game at least. That's what you're paid to do. And they're not doing that. And they're struggling, and it's not good. And it's not good.
So what are we thinking for the Jets this week? Let's recap the schedule on the way out, and then
they
apologize to everybody for the technical difficulties, and now we'll be back next week sometime.
Yeah. So they play Florida at home on Tuesday, tomorrow night, and then they have a few days off, and then they play Friday at Pittsburgh and Saturday at Nashville, back to back.
What's the game after Saturday?
They play Friday, and then they play Monday against Minnesota. But that'll be after. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll throw that one in there just in case, because I'm not 100% certain we'll have a show next Monday. I will talk to you about that after
Excuse me.
the show. Sorry, my bad for not telling you earlier. It just came across my calendar. So take Monday's game into account. How do you see this week going?
I see the Jets bouncing back. They're going to get some rest. They got an extra day's rest between Saturday and Tuesday. They'll get another day's rest on Wednesday after Tuesday's game before flying to Pittsburgh on Thursday afternoon. So they'll probably have Wednesday off, have a practice on Thursday morning, and then fly out to Pittsburgh on Thursday afternoon into Friday for the game in Pittsburgh. So that's good. They'll get some rest. I think they'll be better. I think the next 4 games, the Jets are going to go 2-1-1. What it's going to look like in terms of who they're going to beat, I don't know. They could win against Florida and the Penguins, tie against Nashville, and lose to Minnesota. They could win against Minnesota and Nashville, tie against Florida, and lose to Pittsburgh. So I don't know. I just think those 4 games, I'm going to go 2-1-1. How about you?
I'm going to say the Jets are going to go 2-2.
2-2. Okay. Win one, lose one, win one, lose one. Okay.
Lose tomorrow, win in Pittsburgh, win in Nashville, then lose in Minnesota. That's my prediction. So, anything else, Matt, before we go?
No, I think what was I going to say? What actually the other thing I'm still interested. Maybe we'll talk about this. When are the four nations supposed to finalize their teams?
I think they said they have to be in by the week of the 30th of November for an announcement on anywhere from December 2nd to December 4th.
Okay, so the next pair of weeks. So our show in 2 weeks from today, probably it will be in stone or be very close to being in stone. So,
Yeah, but we could even make projections. Take a little bit of time and talk about Reds Team Canada, Mites Team Canada.
sure.
Go from there.
Why don't we do that for next week's show, and then we'll
Yeah.
see how well we are at prognosticating.
Sure. That is it for this week's show. Sorry for the technical difficulties. I figured out what the issue is. It isn't what I thought it was. I did a text message from somebody a lot smarter than me that told me what the issue was, and it makes total sense. So apologies for that. We will be back next week sometime. Stay tuned for the dates and times that will, be on. It'll be next week sometime. Yeah, for Rick Petty, I'm Michael Dell. Good night from Winnipeg. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next week. Whoops. Enjoy your week, everybody, and we will be back next week. Bye for now.